Hello. Welcome to another live stream. I hope you are doing well. I am getting all, let's say, combobulated over here. But yeah, so I'm trying a new format today. I am going to do a little bit of news, and then show you some of the automations I've been working on, and then I'm going to answer any questions you might have. So, if you are watching on Twitch or YouTube, I can answer your questions as you post them in the chat. If you are on LinkedIn, I will be keeping a watchful eye on the comments of this stream. So, yeah, I think either way, get those questions in. I'll answer as many as I can. Let me also just make sure I am live over here on LinkedIn. Let's see. And it looks like I am live. Yes, I'm totally live. So, yeah. So if you have any questions on LinkedIn, let me know. Or I post them and I will check periodically. If you are over on YouTube or Twitch, I will be able to answer those as they show up in the chat. So let me bring this over here. If you're watching, say hello. Let me know where you're coming from. I also have, super chats and super stickers enabled. But let's start with some news, some recommendations, and then we'll go from there. So let's do this. Great. So the first thing I want to mention, I mentioned this in my newsletter on Monday, is one of the recent episodes of Deep Questions with Cal Newport came out, and it's called ChatGPT is Not Alive. I really enjoyed this episode. I think he did a really great job, like deftly describing what are difficult concepts, while making the argument that people are saying that ChatGPT is thinking and then it's alive and then it's going to achieve sentience, and it's just simply not true. So I thought this was really good. Episode 380 of Deep Questions with Cal Newport. ChatGPT is not alive. Thought that was a really good episode, and I just want to recommend that. Okay, so now getting into some of the news of the day. Let me move this over here. So I got all of this from my Zapier agent. I have a video coming out about how I hate the term agent, because it's like an incredible misnomer, in my opinion. Not even my opinion. It's the absolute truth. AI agents are not agents because they cannot act autonomously. They can't like look at your calendar and then book you a vacation using points and book a flight or whatever. Like they simply don't have the ability to do that. And so I've never liked that term. However, with the Zapier agent I'm using, it is gathering news. I built this on another live stream, but it gathers news and then presents it to me in a Google Doc every day, and that is what I use to gather these stories. I want to do more of this over. I'm kind of switching up the format of the live stream to hopefully, get more people watching and interested. And this is one of those things I'm trying, which is like cover some news, cover some things I built, answer questions. So 30. Oh, this is not the one I wanted. This is so one of the things the agent does is like it tries to find. I think it just tries to find something. And so in yesterday's report, it included something from September, which I'm certain it's included before. So I do need to tweak that a little bit. But generally speaking, it's been really good. It's surfaced some interesting stuff for me, like the latest app improvements that came out 4 days ago, so last week. Um, and I think this is a really interesting page to be on, right? The product updates in the community. It looks like they do this every so often. Just a really interesting list of new actions and bug fixes, right? So Anthropic with Claude, they've added a few new actions to delete, download, upload a file, which is cool. With Calendly, create scheduled meeting event, which is cool. And then a bunch of stuff for Chat GPT, custom GPTs, doc send, new signed document. This is something I have a video coming out next week where I try Chat GPT or Zapier's Copilot to build a bunch of automations. And one of the things that drives me absolutely crazy is its inability to is Zapier's inability to like make contract stuff. Like there's a whole workflow I want to do where if you're not using just the most perfect tool, it doesn't work as well as I'd like it to, and that's really frustrating to me. But anyway, so DocSend adding um DocSend adding new signed document as a trigger now is just like feels bananas to me because that feels like it should be table stakes, you know? Um so anyway, that's just something I've been thinking about. Um so by the way, if you want to join my mailing list, you can do that over at casamona.org. I mentioned the Cal Newport. Um I mentioned I promoted the Cal Newport episode there, so that's usually the first place where I'll send stuff, and then this is me like either processing more stuff or covering new topics that will go deeper into my when I do the newsletter. So anyway, DocSend. So this is just an interesting list. I think if it's a good idea to kind of go through this if you're using Zapier monthly. To see like what crops up or what new actions or triggers you have. So Google AI Studio, for example, um, Gemini is my AI tool of choice. It's basically the only one I use now. So like understand audio, understand document, generate audio, generate video, understand video, and understand YouTube video are all super cool, right? I could see me modifying one of my automations to say like when I upload a new video to YouTube, understand it and then recommend how I should package it. So that looks like a good one, but I won't go through this whole list. There's a lot. It's really, I mean, Zapier connects to so many services, but I think this is a good exercise to do. Oh, Paid Memberships Pro. Shout out to the Colemans. Good friends of mine and great membership plugin for WordPress. Pipedrive, Postgres. So, QuickBooks. Oh, resolved user reported issue, new invoice trigger delayed. Okay. So, QuickBooks is another one I wish it had better, integrations. So Todoist. Oh, interesting. So there you go. Oh, new chat and message meeting or webinar. So, I think this is just like a generally good page to clock, but I wanted to highlight it here because they updated it last week. So that's what's new. You know what? I'll link this in the chat, right? Over in, where are you, chat? So I'll put this over in the chat. Next up is Zapier product updates. So I think this is also just like a generally good thing to have. They talk about projects that are being discontinued. Let me bigify this. Deprecating outdated TSL. There was one here. Maybe I missed it. Mm. But it talked about like maybe that was the AI, the new AI features. So, again, this is just like a generally good page to have. The project's being discontinued. Um, they rolled out a new asset manager, and they're discontinuing the projects feature. So, I actually used the assets manager today, and it was I I think I like it better than projects. This is also 22 days ago. So, kind of another rough thing about the AI agent. And if you're interested, drop a comment, and I'm happy to talk about exactly how that works. The last piece of news I wanted to mention here is actually recent from yesterday. A major AWS outage shows how deeply AI systems depend on the cloud. Now, I don't want to make this an AI live stream. There are a million of those, but I wanted to just highlight this because we have seen AWS go down. We saw Cloudflare go down. Just yesterday, Claude was having trouble, and so um, I published a short earlier this week about or maybe it was last week, about my fewest links philosophy. I think that the fewest links in the chain, or as few links in the chain as possible, is the best thing you could do for your automations, because the more links in the chain you have, the more dependencies you have. And if one thing breaks, the whole thing is going to break, right? I've told this story before, but I used to have a automation. So I had like a custom built form in WordPress, and I had a Zap send the info from that form to ConvertKit, now Kit. And I was testing something, and I turned it off, and I forgot to turn it on. And I did not notice for a month that it was turned off. And so anybody who joined my mailing list over that month never actually joined my mailing list, right? And the lesson here is that test your zaps, turn them on. But there was no reason for me to have that except for that it was clever. And so you want to do clear over clever. There was no, because ConvertKit had embeddable forms. And maybe they didn't look at the time as nice as I wanted them to look, or maybe there was some weird ad blocking dependency or ad blocking feature thing I was worried about. But nobody, like, it was the people who joined my mailing list, it was just thrown into the ether. And I didn't notice until I was like, hey, that's weird that no one's joined my mailing list in 30 days. And that's when I realized, and there was no way for me to recover it. So fewest links in the chain, the better. Obviously, technology like AWS and Cloudflare and everything else are a core part of what we do. But if you can localize things, if you can make what you have less dependent on online tools, or at least have things degrade gracefully, you'll be in a better position, and you won't be staring at your computer shrugging, because you're unable to work because the cloud services are down. So that is the outage story I wanted to mention. I'll put that in the comments as well. Thanks to everybody who's joining now. Let me know. Say hello if you'd like. If you have any questions, definitely let me know as well. All right, so now I want to talk about a few automations that I have either built or updated since the last live stream. So what I used to do a few weeks ago, like before I decided to change everything, was build things live on the live stream and I have determined that that is suboptimal because I don't know how well things are going to work, and I'm largely experimenting, and it's just like not a great. I didn't feel like that was a really good experience, and so this way, um, I'm kind of showing you the end result less formally. It's not a tutorial, um, but I'm showing you what I was able to do, and it feels a lot less chaotic that way. Whoops, gotta stop moving screens when I do that. So there are three. Let me start with the simplest one first. So I updated my feedback form. If you go to streamlinedfeedback.com, this used to be just a Notion form, and then I realized that when people would send in feedback, there was no way for me to respond to them, and I thought that was dumb. And then the thing, man, let me tell you, I'm bringing this up too, actually. Um, I've wanted a speak pipe alternative for my website for the longest time. But the problem is that I don't get feedback enough to justify paying for any of those services. Well, yesterday, I would say collectively this took an hour, but I vibe coded a voice message recorder. And you can see the source code here if that's of interest to you. I looked at it and a friend looked at it, and I mean it looks pretty good, right? There's like one thing that it doesn't do like the WordPress way, but that's okay. I think it's probably because I started it as a not WordPress plugin, and then ultimately my idea was make a standalone web app, allow people to record, and then send the recording to Dropbox or Google Drive. And in working through this, I was like, oh, I'm going to have to, I'm not paying for Dropbox anymore. Do I really want to add like OAuth to this project when no one's going to use it maybe? And then I thought, well, what if I put it in WordPress and then I can have a webhook to send to Zapier to upload it to Google Drive and then delete it from the server. And then again, I thought this is really complicating things. The first go at that kind of broke the whole plugin, and I had to like roll back to the last working version. And so I thought, you know what? None of this matters. I'm like, send me an email when a new voice message comes in. And like, if it crashes, it's a good problem to have because it means that lots of people are submitting feedback, right? So send me an email, and then let's build a dashboard in the WordPress admin where I can manage them and like download and delete them from there. So that's what I did. There's also like a couple of security things. Like, so it's a maximum record. It should be a maximum recording time of 5 minutes. And there's a limit on how many voice messages people can submit in a day. So this is version 1.0. It worked in my initial tests. I feel like 5 minutes is a long time to talk. Like, I don't know why someone would need that much to send some feedback, but I'm really excited about this. And vibe coded it. It worked shockingly well. So I'm excited to keep testing it. But ultimately, I moved the feedback form back onto the website. This is a Gravity form down here. You don't need to fill this form out if you're submitting audio feedback. But I still want the feedback to go into Notion because that's where the rest of my content planner is. So like, this is where the feedback lives. And so I still want the feedback to go to Notion. So I just built a simple automation that when someone fills out the feedback form, create a data source in Notion. Easy peasy. Next up are two more complicated ones. I was building this out on the last live stream. This is the cal.com router. that I maybe this wasn't the last live stream, but it was a live stream. So I finally finished this up. So there are four paths. There are four paths. One is for people who do the Streamline Solopreneur interview. This one is working, confirmed. Create a document from a template, add it to Notion, create the follow-up task. Then coaching call is when someone books a coaching call, create a coaching call document in my coaching call folder so that I have something to work from when I meet with them. And then the last two are very similar. First is a discovery call. So with the discovery call, what I do first is see if they are already in Notion. And if they are, I want to update the source. And I think this is all done in one fell swoop. So find the data source. Yeah, this is like a really fine data source. And then it'll look for it. Oh, okay, right. So if they're not found, add them is what happens. So when they book a discovery call, if they're not already in my CRM, add them to the CRM. And then create a task to do some research. And both of these are, maybe all of these are like, they set it for 3 hours before, I think, 2 hours before. It just says like prep for call with person. So yeah, so that creates the task in Todoist. That's like prep for call with person. And then there's the fallback. If none of these paths work out, just kind of do the same thing. Don't add them to the CRM, just add them to Todoist. So I know to prep a call with them. So this is a really good one, right? I wouldn't say it's overly complicated, but it works really well for me. Okay, I have a question here from LinkedIn. How do you balance, great question, Aman. How do you balance set it and forget it automations with the need for ongoing review and quality control? I'm really glad you asked this. I actually wrote about this recently. So one of the reasons that I have found myself liking Zapier more than Make is that Zapier, I feel, gives you better error reporting and testing. Where I feel like Make is like, hey, something broke, go check it out. Zapier is like, hey, something broke, here's why. Also, here's the data that actually broke it, and now you can use it to test. So ongoing review and quality control for sure is one, if something breaks, I want to know immediately and then fix it. The other is it's kind of, it's not woo woo. It's like a little bit feel though. Like I notice an automation happen and I clock that it's like a little suboptimal, and how can I improve it? Right. So when I was walking through the stories from the agent, I said to myself, right, oh, I could probably improve it by doing that. I always have paper on my desk. And so I'll usually write down like, oh, keep an eye on this or improve it. And I'll either do it in that moment if I had time, or make a task to do it. But in lieu of all of that, I do a year-end review of my systems as well. And I walk through it in this article. So I will, this came over on LinkedIn. So I will drop it here in the LinkedIn chat. And then I'll also drop it over here in the other chats too. So, this is a, oh boy. Can I not just send this link? There we go. Maybe I probably just sent it twice. Failed to post. Okay. Great. I love LinkedIn, but it is not, I would qualify it as not friendly for the normal stuff you want to do with live streaming. Yes. Failed to post comment. So sorry, it's the main story on streamlinesolopreneur.com. But my approach is I do a tools review. So I look at all the tools I'm using, paid and free, and review how I use them. And then I do a workflows review. So I will look at how I'm using those tools to see if there are optimizations I can make. As part of the workflows review, I will also look at Zapier, Make Hazel, see what automations are enabled and how they're affecting my work. And then I'll do an overall systems review. So I'll look at all the tools and how I'm using them and the automations, and I will determine, um, are there ways I can improve this? Have I so forgotten this that it's just like a core part of my workflow now? And if that's the case, like if I've completely forgotten something, I'm just not touching it because it is working, right? When something is working well, it's like an invisible hand, right? Or it's like, it's like in good movies, right? Where the CGI looks good, but, or the special effects look so good they look real, or the dialogue is so good that you really feel it. But when something is bad, the CGI is bad, or you can see the strings, right, for the special effects, or the dialogue is just so unnatural that it takes you out of the movie. That's the stuff you got to fix. And you will probably realize that more throughout the year. So it's kind of this 3-point review I do where I look at the tools I'm using, the workflows for those tools, and then the overall systems, right? Is everything running smoothly? Is there overlap? Are the jobs to be done clear, right? Like, why am I using these tools? I use an example of Obsidian is my personal knowledge management. Ulysses is where I publish articles to my website. I've been writing in Obsidian more. So part of my review this year is, can I cut Ulysses out? Can I easily publish to my WordPress site from Obsidian? Because then that'll eliminate Ulysses, which is crazy because I love Ulysses. But I have found myself writing in Obsidian more. And then Bear Notes is my current note-taking app. And so, is there overlap between Obsidian and Bear Notes that I can eliminate? Or is there a system or a workflow where I can make Bear Notes and Obsidian work better together? Probably not. Both of these tools, uncharacteristically of me, don't have good web-based automations. Obsidian's a little better with a plugin, but that's Bear Notes is definitely my on-device note-taking app, and I'll use the share sheet and stuff like that. So, that's something to consider. Let me know if that makes sense, if that's clear, or if you had maybe like another more specific question about it. But that's a really good question. Thank you for that. Okay, and then the last automation here is my RSS briefs to Blue Sky automation. I made a really good update to this. So originally it was just briefs and fallback. So I have categories on my blog, my personal blog. I treat my personal blog as my social media feed now, so much so that I actually label it as feed in the navigation. And so there's a lot of automation here. Any YouTube video I publish gets automatically added to my blog feed. I need to clean that up a little. So this is one of the things, Aman, that I'm clocking, right? Is like, okay, when I use emoji, they show up as question marks. So fix that. When I include YouTube style links, they don't automatically get hyperlinked. So fix that. There's a way I can easily fix that with a WordPress plugin. So videos, podcast episodes get sent over. Like, this is super broken, right? So maybe I actually want to have a script that will link these more naturally so that this isn't broken, right? But then I also have a category called photos. And so this is more of like a Flickr style thing where it's just one main photo and then a caption. And I also have something called briefs. And those are essentially like tweets for me. Um, wow, I really haven't published a brief in a while. Mm, guess I haven't had a lot of random thoughts that I haven't published in long form. Um, but the briefs, well, let's do this. Wow, the last one I published was on November 10th. So you can see I have a custom template for this where it doesn't have the title or anything. It just has the text and then posted on date at time. And I really wanted to emulate that on Blue Sky. So if we go over to my Blue Sky profile, which is really the only social network of this nature I'm using now. I wanted to, so you can see if we map the automation, fallback is just a link with the title and a simple description, and post it there, right? So it's like title and then the link, right? And then photos, I actually want to post the photo, and you can do that with Blue Sky. So this is actually a little bit more complicated than I hoped it would be. If I was using a featured image, it would be easier. But the way I have to do it right now is this a post in the photos category? Then I need to, what do I do here? I actually I used Zapier's Copilot for this. I have a regex that will grab the first image, because it's also like a source set, so it has multiple image URLs. So I grab the first image, I decode any HTML entity so it doesn't break, and then Blue Sky has an embed type images, and you can provide a URL to an image. And then the alt text is just the description. So I want to post those photos natively. Now, what I also want to do is link to the blog in case there's like more context here. And so you can reply with Blue Sky actions. And so I just reply with the link. I did the same thing here, right? So this is like, I don't have any social media apps on my phone. I do have Jetpack, which is an interface for me to post to my WordPress blog from my phone. And so this is a really great way. And I know I could use, what is it, croissant, to do like one-way posting. But I want my blog to be like the canonical place for all of my content. And then the rest of it flows out from there. So if I can, gosh, this is so far down. 1 month. Oh no, I guess it's not that far down. I want to show you what the brief looks like. Maybe November 3rd. November 12th. Oh, so I guess I didn't. Wow, I guess I didn't build it. That's weird. I feel like I would have tested this. But anyway, what the brief does is that it actually posts the text. So I need to remember. So if we look at the automation, it'll create a post from the actual description of the post, right? Create post. The text is the output. Is it formatted? Yeah, so I guess I trim it. So then it'll send that to Blue Sky as like a native post. And then I do the same thing. I do a follow-up with the source. So this is a fun automation to build because now my blog essentially functions as a social media feed. And I'm also publishing it to social media feeds. I could do the same thing for Mastodon. I could probably do the same thing for LinkedIn, but I wouldn't do that. LinkedIn's like a very different beast. Um, so Blue Sky is a really good testing ground for this. And I've been enjoying that automation. So that's the last automation I built. Let me see, how are things going over here in question and comment land. Okay, so I haven't seen any questions or comments come in. Well, I mean, except for Aman. Thank you for that great question. I did have a couple of comments from the feedback form, so I will go there and take a look. So the first one was from Avery. He was responding to a voice note episode, where he said he keeps so I said I've been using Gemini more. He said I keep forgetting Gemini exists and is free in my Google Workspace. Currently paying for Claude and ChatGPT. ChatGPT has great memory features, but I find Claude can code and write so much better. Will give Gemini a shot. So something important here is that I didn't. Is there a date associated with this? Oh, that's weird. It feels like an important property I should have included here. This is a while back though. So like the landscape is changing so much that I think Sam Altman called a code red, and we could discuss if Sam Altman likes talking, yes, and is like really attention seeking, also yes. But he called a code red because of how good Gemini is now. So I use Gemini exclusively because I'm not going to pay for other AI tools. It's well, I shouldn't say that. I'm not going to pay for other chat bots, essentially. I'm not going to pay for tools similar to Gemini. I'm very happy with the way Gemini works in the way that I use it. I also use Raycast. Raycast is a really good app that has its own built-in AI feature. And I don't use or need the advanced AI models. You can see what I use Raycast for, right? Remove quantities from this list of ingredients so that I could like just have a shopping list. This is, oh, you can't see that. Or actually this one. This is the recipe that I use for eggnog. I got it from Peter Sutterman, Cocktails with Sutterman. Strongly recommend that Substack. It's really good. So like I use an app called Highball from the makers of from the guys at Studio Neat, the makers of the Mark I pen. They have a cocktail recipe app called Highball, and I use that because it's beautiful and fantastic. And so I copied it out of here, but there was no way for me to copy it without the the quantities or the serving sizes. So I just had Claude remove it. Same thing, like just converting hex colors, cleaning up a list of text I've copied. I couldn't remember the last name of Steve Cohen, the owner of the New York Mets. So like, that's the kind of stuff that I'm using AI for. So yeah, I would say, if you are paying for Google Workspace, you have Gemini. I'm paying for like the $16 a month plan, so I have more storage. That also comes with like document signing, so that you don't have to pay for like HelloSign or DocSend. The only drawback there is there's no way to automate. There's no way to automate the document signing. That's not treated as a separate entity in Google Docs, at least not yet. So if you need that functionality, like HelloSign is maybe better for you, or DocuSend or something like that. So, but yeah, I mean, if you're paying for Google Workspace, definitely check out Gemini. So yeah, I've stopped paying for Claude. I've stopped paying for ChatGPT. The feedback, the audio feedback thing that I built completely vibe coded. It was vibe coded with Gemini. And the craziest thing is the first draft. Like all I said, let me bring this up so you can actually see um like how I was doing this. Gemini. And then AI Copilot building an audio recorder app. So I'll scroll back to the beginning so you can see my initial um prompt is just this. I want to build a simple web application that will record users' audio and upload it to cloud storage like Google Drive or Dropbox. It can also be a WordPress plugin, but it needs to be very simple for both me and the user and to use. Think something like speakpipe.com. What do you need from me to understand the full scope of this project? So it provided me with an understanding, and then it coded up something. And it worked flawlessly right off the bat. And so then I was like, all right, let's go back and forth on this. Maybe it should be a WordPress plugin. And eventually over the course of an hour, I got to what you see on the website now. So I think Gemini is great. And it's definitely good for my use cases where I'm not, people will say like, oh, well, Claude is better for writing. I am a better writer than any AI. Full stop. I'm not going to let AI write for me. Let's see. Aman says, exactly. Brain Gemini meets Brawn execution. Raycast next level efficiency. Absolutely. I should do a whole video on Raycast. I happily pay them money. I think it's great. So I'm on 100% like cosign on that. But yeah, like Claude is better for creative work. People say if I'm not doing the creative work, what is the point of me existing? If I'm just going to let Claude do the creative work for me or any AI, there's no point in me doing any work. So that's how I'm not going to pay for an AI tool that's better at most AIs, but still worse than me. And I know the criticism here is like, well, not everybody can write like you, Joe, but that's true. But wouldn't you rather have a piece of writing that came from you whole cloth than something that AI mostly wrote and you just like tweaked or prompted into something readable? And don't get me wrong, I use AI for copy editing because I don't have a copy editor. And the way I write and publish stuff, I'm not going to send everything I write to a copy editor. It's too long of a lead time for me. I want to write something and publish it within an hour of me writing it. And so Gemini is great for that. And, I'll share the prompt here too, actually. I said at the beginning, I didn't want to make this live stream an AI based live stream, but I think this is really important workflow stuff, right? It is really important automation stuff. It is, AI is inextricably related to automation. And so in a way, like I do have to talk about it, but I think that it is very different from the process automation that I do. Or that I build, I should say. So instructions. I won't walk through the whole instruction list. I just say like, hey, I wrote an article. I'm looking for feedback on grammar, spelling, and clarity. I want to know if my overall point is clear. I want to know if I ramble too much. This is my audience. And then this is the most crucial prompt right here. I am not looking for full rewrites. I am a better writer than you. So I'd like you to serve as a copy editor, a second set of eyes to make sure what I've written is good. Um, when I ask for feedback on my writing, don't actually make the changes to the text, just suggestions. When you do give feedback on clarity, please explain why you're making the note. Don't just give the note. So the reason I have all of that is because if you just say to an AI, here's something I've written, can you proofread it? It will rewrite it. And that cuts against my core philosophy of using AI, which is, there's human in the loop is one that people keep saying, right? So it's like, oh, AI, AI does something and then you check it before anything happens, right? There's also what's it called? Lumen. Uh Human out of the loop, and so something's just working completely autonomously. Um Human on the loop, which is a human may abort an action. And I should say that these are all, according to Wikipedia, these are like um classifications of autonomous weapon systems. So like human in the loop, a human must instigate the action of the weapon. On the loop, a human may abort an action, right? So that's like the AI is going to do something and then you have the opportunity to stop it. Human out of the loop, no human action is involved. But there's something else called human in control. And that is that an AI only does precisely what you ask it to do. Human in the loop is still the AI does something and then you check it. Human in control is AI only does what you tell it to do. And so like my prompt for writing is a human in control prompt. I don't want you making any changes. I want you to suggest the changes. And then I will be the one to actually make the changes. So that's my AI philosophy. I do that with everything. I did some research. I'm launching a new project next year. I'm really excited about it. Gemini came up with the name, and I'm real mad about that because it is better than any name I could come up with. But the initial research that I did and then tried to augment with Gemini was fine, but it lost the thread a lot. And so I took the nuggets that were good and then I continue to do my own research on it. And the last thing I'll say here, gosh, this is not really what I expected. I mean, I guess like when you go into a live stream and you're like, ask questions, it could be anything, right? But the last thing I'll say here is I just recorded a video this morning where I talked about this. I know people who have completely outsourced their critical thinking to AI. People who have told me they don't read stories anymore. They don't watch YouTube videos anymore. They just send the text of the story or the transcript of the video to AI and have it summarize it for them. Which is a really fucking sad way to live. Just like, what is the point of consuming anything if you're not actually going to consume it? A. Also, I'm really sorry I cursed. I try not to curse. I don't know if you have kids around. I try not to curse on the live stream, so I'm really sorry. I feel really passionate. Like, what's the point of having AI summarize a YouTube video for you? Are you really going to be fulfilled by reading what happens in a movie and not actually watching the movie? Like, is knowing what happened more important than the emotional impact of the content? But in the case of having AI summarize a bunch of stories for you, you are not getting the primary source, and you need to go to the primary source. What you are getting is a machine's understanding in heavy quotes, about the story. Just like if someone reads a book and they try to give you a summary, they're only going to tell you the stuff that impacted them that they remember. They're not going to give you a full-on book review. And maybe you generally know what happens, but maybe they missed like the thing that you would be most interested in. Like if you can't even be bothered to read news stories, you're not part of an informed public. You're not forming your own opinions. You are just letting AI tell you what to think. And that's bad. So, that's the last thing I'll say here. Like, human in control is really important to me. Having your hands on the wheel is really important to me. Using AI to surface data for you and crunch raw data for you can be good. AI is not a substitute to help for truly understanding a problem. All right. Well, that got really ranty. Thank you all for tuning in live or watching the replay. Aman, thanks for your question and comments over on LinkedIn. If you are interested in mostly automations, but I guess some anti-AI drab, you can join my mailing list over at casabona.org/join. I promise that's mostly automation stuff, and workflows and systems. But I do talk about the human side of AI. So, but that is it for this live stream. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. And until next time, I hope you find some space in your week. My stream.